Hey everybody, this is Marcus Miller of AudioVein Entertainment, and I am here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, enjoying the lovely beach weather with Spider One of Powerman 5000.
Yes, beautiful day out.
Beautiful day. We're sweating our ass off.
I was surprised to see you here.
Yeah, I know. It is a bit of a surprise.
Usually I see you in hot weather places.
Hey, not only that, but this is actually my first time in Canada too.
Well,
Yeah.
what do you think?
It's rainy. It's
Yeah,
wet.
They're very
it's cold.
polite here, though.
So far, yeah.
Have they apologized for the weather yet? They tend to do.
No, not yet.
No.
You might be the first one to apologize.
They
You didn't even live
they
here.
say sorry.
Soy?
Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to MC Spider.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That was like, a lifetime ago.
It was a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
I think I was just a little.
You were probably not even
little,
born yet. Yeah.
All right. So it was just you and a little drum machine, right?
Yeah, I mean, the MC Spider thing stemmed from not knowing anybody. I grew up in a little town called Haverhill, Massachusetts, which I'll be playing this tour, which is insane, which is really weird. But anyway, so yeah, I had a little really bad punk rock band in high school, and then I moved to Boston, and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody who played guitar, so I had no choice but to. I wanted to make music, and I couldn't play guitar or anything. So yeah, so I bought a drum machine, and it was at the time, in an era where like rap had really started to, really blew up. And,
NWA and
yeah,
Run DMC and stuff.
yeah, Run DMC, NWA, Public Enemy, Ice-T, all these great, iconic rappers, and I got so hooked into it because it was sort of like my new punk rock, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and it was mostly from New York City at the time, right? So
yeah, New York and
aside
LA,
from NWA,
and it had that same spirit to me as punk. Like it was like a fuck you kind of a music, I remember hearing that NWA record and being like, what the fuck is this, It had the same spirit as, hearing, I don't know, Black Flag or Minor Threat or something. So I just wanted to make music but didn't know anybody. So I just bought this cheap drum machine and little multi-track cassette player thing, this is pre-Pro Tools, so you had to be a lot more creative to make your own music.
yeah.
And just put this weird MC Spider thing, which actually, now that I think about it, now you're jogging some memories. But before MC Spider, I actually attempted to start a band called Spider Baby.
Okay.
Which is based this old horror movie called Spider Baby, and it was just failed. It never went anywhere. And so,
Did you do vocals in that?
I did. We recorded a couple of demos, same kind of thing. I think we did a cover tune of what is that song? An old funk song. I can't remember the name of it. Get that? Whatever it was. We wrote like 2 songs and it failed.
Okay.
But the Spider Baby stuck when, follow this story if you can. White Zombie put out their first album with their first full length, which was that Psycho Head Blowout record. And to my surprise, on the back, it said, thanks to MC Spider. So Rob actually, for better or worse, has the credit for creating the MC Spider name. Right?
Okay. Well, what was the MC?
I think because he knew I was rapping and doing all this. So he took the Spider Baby thing and
With
the MC
your name, yeah.
kind of as a joke.
Okay.
So I was like, well, fuck it, I'm MC Spider now.
Okay.
So then at that point, I started recording these little weird rap demos that really sounded more. I thought I sounded like NWA, but I think it, in some ways, sounded like, I don't know, Charles Bukowski rambling over 9 Inch Nails tracks or something. But so we started putting out these cassettes, and then at the time, a local radio station called WFNX, which I don't know exists anymore in Boston. Great station, like alternative station. They started playing one of my songs off a cassette. If you imagine how great that must have sounded.
Of course.
And that just started happening, and then later that year, I won like best rapper of Boston, and all this, like, without even.
You weren't even trying. Yeah.
I wasn't really trying. I mean, it just was something to do, But then that, then I missed the live band thing, because I've always been like, live music, like, fan of bands at heart. So now that transitioned into Powerman,
Was what White Zombie was doing, like, not musically, but just what they were doing, like, did that help kind of, were you like, oh, my brother's in it, I can do it? Like,
I mean, yes and no. I mean, the funny thing is that it's no secret that like I tried to do the music, the music thing before Rob, because Rob was really knee deep in
art.
art.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, the music scene in New York that Rob was in, it was very different than I was in Boston. And well, actually, I was still in high school at that time, but
Yeah.
he was in that Lower East Side, Sonic Youth and all, like there are these really noise bands, which you can, if you listen to early White Zombie,
yeah.
it sounds like noise. It doesn't really sound like what people think they sound like now.
Yeah.
So I was really, I guess I was sort of inspired that he was doing it. You know what I mean? And I was trying to get it together at the same time. In fact, a lot of people don't know the reason why I quit art school was to go and drive the van on the very first White Zombie tour.
Okay.
Which was maybe like 6 shows. It wasn't like a proper like.
Yeah.
So
but it was still cool.
Yeah, like they came. I think he came to visit me in Boston or something. And he was like, "We're gonna go to do this tour. You want to go with us?" And I was like, "Well, I have school." And he's like, "Well," I was like, "Fuck it,
Yeah.
quitting school," which I'm
Punk
sure
rock,
my
man.
parents were very happy. So we went on this little tour that I drove the van for, and it was like the greatest experience because it was so, it was such a, as bare bones as you can get. We were sleeping on people's floors, and the van had no brakes. I had to like pump the brakes on, we'd like come off the off ramp and almost die every time. But the crazy thing is on that tour is that we met so many people that ended up being like really successful. Like they went and I think they played a show in Chicago, and we ended up we crashed at Steve Albini's house, who went on to produce. He was in this band Big Black, and he went on to produce like Nirvana records and all.
Yep.
And like crashed on his floor. That he happened to share the house with the guys from Urge Overkill, that ended up being like a really big band, and like all these bands were coming up together. It was such a great like time, So doing that was my first experience on the road. So that really like inspired me to get my shit together.
Okay. So when you started putting Powerman together and to do live shows, what were the early shows like the reaction? And...
It was we were a very different thing at that point. I started finding musicians because I worked at Tower Records. So inevitably, most people work at Tower Records either love music or play music.
Yeah.
So that was like such a great melting pot to find people. So that's where I found Al and Dorian and Adam, our original guitar, was a bike messenger. So we'd always see him like dropping off packages at Tower Records. So we all
so it all came together at Tower.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean Tower Records was the where we, and they were really in Tower being the kind of place it was we would do in-store, because we became a pretty big local band. So we would do in-stores and put displays up for our local records, and so that's how that came together. But we were a much different. We had a DJ at that time, and keyboard. It was a we were sort of finding our way, because I was transitioning these weird rap songs into making a band, right? So,
Okay.
Until around 92 or something that we said, all right, let's write a real song together as a band.
Do you remember what the first song was?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first song I don't remember the first song we wrote, but some of the first ones were Neckbone, and the first song we recorded, like, that we really thought, like, wow, we're a real band now, is we had some friends who worked at a studio called the Power Station in New York, which was like this really top of the line studio. We had never been in anything like it. We had always recorded, on a boombox in a rehearsal space. But, these guys worked at the studio, and they said, hey, listen, you could come in on off hours. So we would go to New York and hang out until 2 a.m. when everybody was done, and then we'd sneak in and we'd fire it up and record. And we recorded.
Is this when you did A Private Little War, or is this?
No, this was
that?
Before that. Private Little War, we almost took a step back and did that in lower budget, but but we did. I remember we recorded the first version of Even Superman Shot Himself, and it was like, for the first time to me, it sounded like a real band. Like, whoa, like this is fucking, and that was like the moment where it was like, okay, I think we got something. So that was really like the first thing we ever tracked that, for me, felt like we maybe had something.
Okay. And then the rap rock sound. You stuck with it, all the way up until 97, 98, Mega Kung Fu Radio and
Right.
Bloodsplat and all that. What made you change out of that sound?
I think some of it. Well, I mean, I think the reason I did in the first place was just because I didn't really know how to do anything else. I didn't spend all these years just like doing these weird rap songs, so that was sort of like all I had, I guess, in my arsenal as a vocalist. But also nobody else was really doing it. I mean, not saying that people were doing it, but it hadn't exploded into what it became once Limp Bizkit and Rage Against the Machine and these bands became massive, right?
Yeah.
So I think part of it was wanting to not feel, because we always felt like, wow, we were sort of in the front end of this sound, so we didn't want to feel like, because these other bands became so much bigger than us, feel like we were copying them, right? Because we were. And the other thing, I think the main influence in the change of the sound from like Mega Kung Fu Radio to Tonight the Stars Revolt was Mike Tempesta.
Yeah.
Because he was like super metalhead, right? So he just wanted everything to be like big riffs and heavy, and he was great at that. So when he came in, I was like, oh wow.
Well, what was it that made you decide we need a second guitarist?
I think it was just, I don't really remember there being like a thought process behind it. Maybe just to get a bigger sound, you know what I mean? And Adam was much more like textural guitar player, funk guitar player. So he wasn't
a riff guy.
Yeah, I mean, he could do that stuff for sure, but he wasn't like, that wasn't his natural place.
Yeah.
And so I don't remember like if we just jammed with Tempesta or something and it just felt, really cool. But his metal influence was definitely, you can hear the change, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did Jordan leave before Mike came in or right after?
I want to say he left,
like,
I'm trying to remember, before Mike came in. It was, Jordan's thing, I don't remember that. Yeah, it was weird. Like, it's so funny. It's so much history and so many band members are coming and going. I think there was a little tension between Al and Jordan, because Jordan is
percussion, yeah.
But Jordan is a fucking monster drummer, right? Like
Yeah, and he's in the Blue Man Group, right?
Yeah, I mean he is an amazing drummer, right? So I think he maybe was feeling a little, fuck, I could be doing more here, and I'm just hitting the cowbell and shit, and like so there might have been a little of that, and and then transitioning to that more metal electronic sound, that became less important, and we started to gravitate towards loops and things like that. So it just became like, for better or worse, it changed, and it just didn't seem necessary anymore, and he was so underutilized with the talent he has as a drummer. It just didn't seem fair, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, now when Tonight obviously came out, and then the success and video games and movie soundtracks and all that stuff, when, aside just from the obvious, like, when did you feel like, fuck, we've made it?
Yeah, it was, it's weird because there were moments where, because it sort of happened in a way that when it does happen, and I don't know if I guess it happens like this these days, but maybe not as much, is that you go from like this, like nothing, like weird band that you just think no one's going to give a shit about. Like and it sounds like I never thought it would ever, you never thought that you would be, on MTV and all this stuff. And certainly back then, MTV was like, they treated rock bands almost the same as the pop artists. Like Korn and Britney Spears were getting the same treatment, right? And we were too. It was like, and it wasn't, I think it was this, I still remember this day, because like the shows were selling out. I was like, this is weird, but it almost seemed like, oh yeah, this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And now I look back and I'm like, oh my God, you fucking fool. Like that was amazing, and now I'm just like, God, I hope someone shows up tonight, But back then, like, shows were selling out, and we were like, oh, I guess this is what happens when you put a record out. But I was kind of naive in that it really doesn't happen that way for a lot of people. But I think it was one day we were driving, we were like on the bus or something going into New York City to do a show, and we were listening to the K-Rock, the big rock station that I think is still there, and they were doing their top 5 countdown, right? And it was like, number 5, 9 Inch Nails, and number 4, Metallica, whatever the band, like all bands that were just
The big bands.
and number 1 was us, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's when you're just like, how is this even possible?
That's
like,
when it was hitting, yeah.
That we're getting more requests than Nine Inch Nails or whoever it was that week. You know what I mean? And I think that was a moment that was just like, I kind of went, yeah, this is kind of happening now. You know what I mean? But back then, it was definitely a different world. Right? You saw those kind of results because of the power of MTV and the power of radio back then was such a bigger. Today it's like you don't have those things. You can get a million views on your video on YouTube or something, but it just doesn't have the same.
It's not as exciting.
There was something about being on actual television, I think, that had this value that there really isn't anything that matches that these days, right? Because it's not like, anybody can put a video on YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean anyone's going to watch it, but the reality is anybody can put it on. So I think it's just not valued as much as of that stuff. And same with print magazines,
I agree.
To actually getting your picture in Metal Edge or whatever it was back then was like a big deal. It was like, and like we were talking about earlier, somebody would hang on to that magazine for a month or take out the poster and hang it on their wall, and that stuff really resonated and made bands, I think, have a bit more like importance than they do now.
Yeah. The recent news of Metal Hammer it got bought out, and I don't know if it's still like it's fresh news. So I don't even know if it's still going to continue. Metal Edge, I don't even think exists anymore.
No, Metal Edge has been gone for a long. U.S. presses, but in Europe they still press was much more important than over here. I think that was their main source of like people finding out about bands, and yeah, it's kind of sad that that's going away now too there. But
everything physical.
Yeah, it's ups and downs, right? Like
and then even Amoeba. Did you hear about Amoeba?
No.
The lease got bought out,
Ooh.
and they're gonna be.
Oh, the Amoeba in LA is shutting down. Jesus Christ, that's crazy. And that place is always packed. Like it's always.
I love Amoeba. That place is great.
Maybe they'll be able to move it somewhere. Or something.
I hope so. Like that'll be sad if Amoeba closes down because that's the place.
Yeah, it sure is.
Hell, I even found Anyone for Doomsday in there for $3.99.
There you go.
Okay, so speaking of that, AFD. What? I know you've talked about it, of course, but why the plug pull? What was it? Because of members, like what was it like Dorian and Al before that, or did they want to leave after, or what was going on?
No, they left after. I know. There's like a lot of. It's so funny. This is like the mystery story. Even though I probably explained it, but I will tell you exactly what happened. Because I love when I read like, it was because of 9/11, and I'm like, no, because the record was supposed to come up.
Yeah,
like
I went that day to buy it, and it wasn't there.
It was. This is exactly what happened. So, there was a culmination of things, right? So but mainly, it was DreamWorks Records freaking the fuck out because DreamWorks. If you look at DreamWorks Records was our record label, right?
Yeah.
Great record label, but they had a history of fucking up follow-ups. Like if you look at, because they had Papa Roach had a really big record, and their second record was a huge flop. Considered to be a flop, right? It was, and then they did the same thing with Alien Ant Farm. They did the same thing with Nelly Furtado. They did. I think they thought, or they maybe got complacent. Like they had a hit record, and then thought the second one was going to be easy.
Yeah, by default, it's like okay,
right.
well, that's just going to sell.
So a similar thing happened. We put out Tonight the Stars Revolt, and it was a hit record, in terms of, our world, it was a hit record. And then we started working on the second one, and we started gearing up for the release, and Bombshell went to radio, and it was I don't remember the numbers, right? It was doing great. It was I would kill for what it was, right? It was like, It was like number 9, and they're like, fuck, it's not number 1. It should be number 1. I'm like, maybe it shouldn't be number 1. It's like, they just thought like, oh, we're going to get number 1 song. And then we started booking a tour
It was Machine
with
Head
Machine
and
Head,
Saliva.
and ticket sales went on sale. And now looking back, ticket sales were doing great, right? We're playing like theaters that. Hey.
Sorry, you didn't.
Yeah, interview.
Welcome back.
Okay. Yeah, so ticket sales go on sale, and they're like, oh, ticket sales aren't strong enough.
Yeah.
So everyone starts freaking out, right? So it's like emergency meetings. Everyone gets our manager. Everyone go to the record label. What are we gonna do? And I'm just sitting there, and at this point, even though I've been doing this, well, I'm still kind of like, you kind of defer to other people. Like, you guys are the professionals,
Yeah.
And so there's talk. Well, maybe we should write another song. Maybe we should do this. And looking back, we should have just probably put it out. It would have been fine. I mean, although in hindsight, the 9/11 thing happened, which no one could have predicted, may have just squashed the whole thing anyway. So all this could be for nothing.
Yeah.
But so it's this and that. We're going to do this. We're going to write an extra song, fit it on the record. See, and then our manager, who, looking back, probably wasn't the best manager, but he's just like, we're pulling the record. We're pulling the fucking record. And I'm like, in a meeting, like, we are? We're pulling the record. So now there's no record, And I'm like, okay, now what do we do? And at that point, the plan was to just quickly write a couple more songs. And then that's when Dorian freaked out. He quit. Then Al freaked out. He quit. And then I'm like, well, I guess I just got to, then 3 years later, I finally have another record, right? So yeah, I mean, and then there are other factors that, like, creatively, I wasn't 100% happy with the record. Although people seem to like it. Like, I think they like the aggressiveness of it. When I look at it now, it's got some good songs. It's not, it's not my favorite record, but, so I mean, that really is what it was. It was, the label just thinking that we were just supposed to come out of the box number one, which maybe wasn't what was supposed to happen, Well,
I guess, I'm sure records getting pulled occasionally does happen and probably still does, but not to the extent of what yours was, because 2 weeks before, It was already on MTV, it was already on billboards, it was already on radio, and then all of a sudden it's not even...
It was rough. It was a really rough moment. Like, it was... I mean, the fact that we survived that at all is kind of a miracle, right? Because then, because going away for that long, after only having, like, kind of one hit song or one hit, really, then we had to rebuild and get new band members, and then you're rethinking everything, like,
Then you changed the sound, went to
yeah,
transform.
I mean the sound.
It wasn't a major shift.
I think
it really
what
wasn't.
made people think it sounded so different is just because we kind of looked different. So visually, like, but if you listen to that, it's not really that different, right?
No, not
It's
really.
just slightly more melodic, but not really. I mean, it just has a little different sound, right? We also have, different people, so that's going to change the sound.
Of course.
Yeah, so yeah, that wasn't 3 years later. Transform comes out. Let me know if I'm going ahead of what you wanted to ask me. But so we finally pulled this together. 3 years later, it comes out, and Free comes out, this song, and is like our biggest charting radio hit. So we're like, holy shit, like, this is gonna work. Like, we're cool. And the record came out and debuted top 25. I think we even beat, like, Lenny Kravitz that week, and so we were just like, oh,
cool,
like,
it's still there.
This is gonna work. People still know who we are. They still care. And so we're like, ecstatic. Like, fuck, we did it. We survived this whole 3-year thing, which could have been the end of us. And everyone at the label is just kind of like, yeah, whatever. We're like, what do you mean, whatever? Like, like, this is amazing. Like, we're gonna get a gold record out of this, whatever. Like, that's. And they just kind of didn't care.
So then they just stopped pushing it.
And we were just didn't know why. And it turns out that they all knew, what we didn't, which was the record label was going out of business.
Yeah.
So they were like pulling our money, taking us off the road, and we're like, what are you guys doing? Like, we've got a fucking hit record here. And so that, just when we thought we were out of the shit, we were back in it, times 10. So.
Yep. And then so after that, well, in 2004, you did some new songs that were on the WWE game.
Yeah.
Were those songs ever meant to be anything more than just that? Like,
No, I mean, to be honest with you, after we found out the label was going out of business, we were on tour, and they were like, okay, we're taking guys off the road. And so we had this show in Portland, Oregon, big show, sold out, and we knew we were going home after that. So we kind of all looked at each other, and we were like, this is our last show. Like, we're done after this. Like, we just thought we're breaking up. Because back then, unlike today, everyone like, do you have a record deal? If you didn't have a record deal, you were kind of fucked, you know? Now, I wouldn't give a shit. I'd be like, see you later, you know, like, good, you know.
Yeah.
So we just kind of went, we're done. So we finished that show. We all looked at each other and said, well, that was fun, and went home. And I was like, I guess I'm done with I guess it's over. And so I was just kind of hanging out for like a year. I had a kid, and I was just like going, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life, you know. And then I found out that a music supervisor for a video game company that made that wrestling video game was looking for songs in the style of Powerman 5000. So I found the guy. I'm like, why don't you get the real thing? Like, You don't need the style. Fuck that. Well, so that was like a light bulb moment where I was like, oh, people still like are interested in what I'm doing, or there's some value in this. So we did those songs. It was just me and Adam, I think, did those together, and we're like, okay, let's fucking do this on our own. But it was a tough time because it wasn't like now where, you can get a TuneCore account and put it on iTunes. It was still in that middle ground where it's like, we don't have a record deal, but you can't, the pieces weren't together to really do it yourself yet.
Yeah.
So it was a rough, like, bunch of years trying to navigate that and trying to, find these little record labels to put records out, and you'd get all excited and they wouldn't do anything. And, so we have a bunch of those records.
Okay. And then after that, kind of another band overhaul. You still had Siggy and Adrian.
Right.
And then Destroy What You Enjoy. Now,
Yep.
I'm going to ask you this because you know that for whatever reason that album just didn't pique fans' interest for whatever reason in a general sense.
Yeah.
I loved it. I still listen to the shit out of it. I know you love that album because...
I like it, yeah. I think it's a good record.
Do you think it was just because of label stuff that it didn't get out there more? Or do you just think it wasn't the right Powerman album?
I mean, it was probably both. I mean, I think that the record label, that was DRT, I think. It was this record label that was put together by this guy, and I don't mind talking shit about this guy because he fucked over everybody. This guy, Derek Schulman, who was kind of like a big guy at Roadrunner. And he's like, oh, Derek Schulman's starting his own label. This is going to be great. And we heard he's signing Clutch, and he's signing all these bands. We're like, well, this sounds like a good place to be, right? So we went, and he just wouldn't pay anybody. We'd hire people to do a video, never pay them. It just became, and he still owes me money I'll never see. So that was, it was kind of a disastrous record label scenario. But creatively, yeah, it probably was it was probably the right record for me to do at the time, but the wrong record for. I get it, right? If you're a Powerman fan, and you want Worlds Collide and laser beams and all, I get, and then suddenly it's not there.
But I still don't see it as a major transition. Like when you go from AFD to Transform to Destroy, it sounded like a natural progression, and it was, it was stripped down.
I think it was more of an aesthetic thing. I don't think, again, musically, it's not that different. It's definitely a little more, punk rock. But then again, we have new guys coming in the band, right? And I've never been in the mindset of, because we've had a lot of member changes over the years, obviously. And I'm not in the mindset of trying to replicate the guy before. So when we did Destroy What You Enjoy, Johnny comes in, and Johnny's like punk rock, pop kind of guy.
Yeah.
So
I have that Half-Cocked record, by the way.
Yeah.
I found it.
There you go. So he would write like that style, and I'm like, well, I don't want to force this guy to try and be Mike Tempesta, right? So just let's do what's naturally happening, and which is what I still do. The new guys are writing a record now, and it's like, what do you bring to the table? Let's, and so I think that record has some really cool songs. I think it's some of the best lyrics, but yeah, I get it. It's, people they want what they want, right? And then But with most records, I find like you put a record out, and most there's like a weird thing when fans like don't like it at first, and then a year later, like I love that record, you know. So, but it ended up doing okay. You know what I mean? But
You toured on it for quite a bit. I mean,
it was a fun record to like strip it down and just do that style for a while, and then then you get a little sick of that, and you're like, all right, let's go back and have some robot sounds and shit, And
yeah. Then you did Somewhere, and I think that album kind of flew under the radar. Like the old school Powerman fans,
yeah.
they were like, "Fuck yeah!" But like everyone else, like the casual fan, didn't hear about it.
Well, now we're moving into a time though where it's becoming harder to get casual fans, right?
Yeah.
Now it's 2009, 2010. You're in the mindset of like only trying to find your fan base, because where do you go? You're not going to get on the radio everywhere. You're not on. There's no more MTV. You're not. So now it is like, who are the whatever 100,000 people in the country or the world that love this band? Let's find them and try to appeal to them. Not appeal creatively, but just reach those people, because like I mean it's and it's a lesson learned when you think back, like when Tonight the Stars Revolt sells whatever it sold, 1.5 million or whatever. We don't have 1.5 million fans. You have 1.5 million people who heard that song and go like, oh, cool. How many of those people actually are along for the long ride? Not a lot. Probably 10% or something. So, now at this point, that's who you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I think that Somewhere on the Other Side of Nowhere did that well, and Supervillain did pretty good at radio, considering we didn't have any major machine behind us or anything. Again, it was just another small label run by the singer of Jackal, Jesse Dupree.
Oh yeah, wow.
And it was basically like a one-man operation. And I met him, and he's like, oh, I got on the phone with Jesse, and he's like, let me just say something. I know what you're thinking. Why the fuck am I talking to the guy from Jackal? let me hear me out. And he just sold me on putting the record out, and all things considered, he did a great job of that record, and worked really hard for us, and it definitely got us, if it did anything, got us back in like good graces with the fans, in terms of like stylistically, and that was working with Evan Berenice, who was like super talented guy, and like we just like really worked well together, and so that was he had a big part in that record coming together for sure.
The covers album.
Yeah.
What was that, just for fun?
It was. Yeah, I mean that was another thing that I didn't think was going to be an album. We got approached by Cleopatra Records, who is sort of known for a lot of like licensing music and putting together compilations and things like that. And they said, "Hey, we'll give you some money. Go record 15 cover tunes." Because they do like, Cleopatra like will do like Halloween hits, and they'll take like whatever they do. They put these records. And in the contract, it did state if they wanted to put this out as an album, they could. But I'm thinking they're not going to want to put this out as an album. But they did. So, so yeah, that was just like, I thought it was just going to be for movie soundtracks or whatever. But they ended up putting that out. And, I mean, I think some of those turned out pretty cool,
Oh yeah.
That was literally me and Dave Pino just in his bedroom recorded the whole thing on our own. Like it was, it was a lot of work. Like we thought, 15 cover tunes, how hard could it be? But it ended up being like more work than making a real record, because it's just like. But some of those turned like Space Oddity and Should I Stay or Should I Go? And I think there's a couple of them that really are cool, like. I mean, I don't think everyone was a home run, but I think some of them were pretty awesome.
Builders of the Future.
Yeah.
Why did it take so long in between Somewhere and Builders to come out?
I don't know. I mean, time just goes by so fast. Even like with this new record we're working, I thought like, oh, we're doing good, and it's still like years go by. And you just spend time on the road, and then I'm not the fastest songwriter, so. I don't know why it took so long. And then that was another one, we were creating musically like that, and Somewhere on the Other Side of Nowhere, I think are two of the best records we've ever made. And we were going to go back to Universal, which I thought was going to be a good thing. Like, oh, we're back at Universal, and they have all our catalog, and kind of, in a sense, back in the major label world a little bit.
Yeah.
This will be great. you know, surprise, surprise, they don't do shit. And
Yeah.
so it's just like, you're just constantly like, just, you know,
Yep.
banging your head against the wall. Like, God damn it. Someday somebody will do something for us, you know.
All
I mean,
right.
they did, you know, they had a radio guy there that worked really hard and got How to Be a Human pretty high up on the radio charts, but then he quit. So I was like, okay, well, I guess that was that. And then after that, they didn't do anything else. So I credit that guy, I can't remember his name, as the one person that actually tried on that record.
How far are you into the new album?
We're almost done, and we've got about 10 songs tracked. And I would say 7 or 8 of those I feel really, really good about. So we'll probably go back and write a few more. I want to have, you know, like as you do with every record, like try your best to have every song be really good. You know, sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but I think people think that like bands don't try to do that. But I think we all do, you know. But yeah, it's coming along good. It's been like a, you know, I just recording. It's so funny the way we do it. Like record it at my house, you know, like rolling, you know, a rig and.
So you have a home studio?
I don't, but I have
No.
somebody bring one in. You know, it's just like
Okay.
a, you know, rolling studio basically. Bring it in, and that way I can just like be in my slippers and, you know, record. And then we'll like go and record drums at a proper studio, you know, second after we kind of lay out everything out. So,
Okay.
but yeah, it's coming out really good. It's sort of like, I don't know what it is, like where it lands in the mix of all the records. I think it's a little less slick than the last two. Because sometimes when I listen to, especially when you're on the road, you realize how raw the band can sound live, and then you go listen to the records, you're like, wow, they sound pretty polished. So I'm trying to make this record sound a little more raw. Probably dialed back a little bit on the electronics, but it's still electronics. So it's, you know, it's in the world of everything we've done, you know.
It's a Powerman album.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, you know, again, there's new people coming in. You know, I've been writing a lot of this with Ryan and, you know, a new guy, and he's got a different sensibility, right? He's like, his guitar playing can be like more ethereal, almost weird. Like he loves lots of delays and stuff like that. And so,
Awesome.
so he's bringing a little of that in. But you know, I think the songs are fucking solid and bringing, you know, it's a couple like bringing back some of that more rap quality on a couple of them from like the early days. So.
Yeah.
In a way, it's funny. It's like not. It does remind me a little bit more of Mega Kung Fu Radio, not sonically. Like it's not that stripped down, but in the weirdness of it. Because when I listen to Mega Kung Fu Radio now, I'm like, this is like a really weird record. Like I don't know what we were thinking, but so it kind of has a little bit of that. It's a little bit more all over the place, you know.
Okay. I remember a couple years ago. Nick saying that you guys recorded like 20 songs for the last album. Like you had a bunch of leftovers or something.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, so I don't know what you would consider a song. Like sometimes it's, you know, you have a riff or you have.
A bunch of
Generally,
demos.
for me, like if something doesn't start turning into sounding like a finished song pretty quickly, I kind of dump it because it's just not. I don't see the point in like hammering something that isn't working. Let's just write something new, you know. So
Yeah.
there were probably some leftovers, but this is a reason why they were left over. You know what I mean? Not everything is good, you know. Like I mean, I've done 10 albums, and if there's 2 songs on every record that I actually think are like good, it's probably a miracle. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, it's funny. You think it would be easy, but it's I don't know. I mean, everybody has their own aesthetics and favorites, and you know.
Now, when you did the good, the bad, and the ugly, was that just a label thing, or was that something that you kind of wanted to do also?
I mean, I think it was that I had all this stuff laying around, and I just thought, you know, I knew there'd probably be like 20 people who would really be interested in. But you know, there are all those people who really like to dive into like every nugget a band has, and plus I thought it was kind of an interesting, you know, and I think I can't remember when we did it, but it was at the point where I did see a lot of things changing in music and the business and how bands became bands, and I thought it'd be kind of just fun to at least show like this is how it was back then, right? Like
Yeah.
this is what it took to do something, you know, and it was an interesting time, and you know, just to show like, you know, just I don't know, it was just kind of a fun trip to put everything together and show how the band came together, and you know, some of it was cool, some of it was embarrassing, and some, you know, but it was all relevant, you know, to who we were.
Yeah. Would you do a second one? 'Cause
If we had enough stuff, I mean, there's probably enough stuff kicking around. I'd have to try to pull everything together, but yeah, I probably would. I mean, I don't know if it would be as interesting because, I think what was made that interesting was that it was such the early days of a band, just kind of not even knowing how to really write a song, just trying to put stuff together. So the later stuff would just probably sound like, oh yeah, this could have been on that album or could have been on that, that time period. So it might not be as interesting, but I would, if I had enough good stuff, I would.
And what about like a second DVD? Kind of like a documentary of the...
I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess it would just have to be online because I don't think anybody buys DVDs anymore, right? Like, there's so much content online that, like, it's just...
It could do, like, the rarity stuff and a DVD,
You can come in.
Hello.
We're just doing... This is going to be the most comprehensive history.
I thought you were dead.
No.
I was, like, debating if I should take the stairs or the slide down here.
No, I know.
I know it's weird coming down here. It's like...
Sorry to interrupt, I was just making sure you're okay.
Yeah, if you want to hang for a bit, we'll probably be done soon. We're almost up to today.
Well, since you're here too, the Dead is Punk.
Oh, go. She knew it was coming and she's like at the door.
Yeah.
Like,
I took the slide right down here.
Yeah. Yeah, Dead as Punk was a thing that we did as an experiment, because Christine obviously is a knee-high fox and won't leave me alone, follows me everywhere I go.
Yeah,
And
I think it's the other way around.
but it was sort of an experiment, like, right? We didn't really know how it was going to go.
No, it was weird. I'm a songwriter initially, so I had this guy I work on a lot of pop stuff with, and I was like, he does these really crazy beats, and we were like into like Prodigy and all this like weird stuff, and we're like, what if we took a rock element and a rap element and had this sick like producer try something, and we just like go in and see what happens, and we just like created these like 3 songs that were like, I don't know, we were super excited about
I don't know.
them.
Maybe everyone else thinks we were like, this is the greatest thing we've ever heard.
Yeah,
I think it was just because it was so much fun and
a departure a bit,
for
right?
me too, like I could step out of my role in Powerman, which it's like all I've been for so long, and just be a little bit more this way or that way, and not feel like there's an expectation of anything. So, and it was I mean, I was really happy with the way they came out.
No, I'm super stoked about the project. I'd like to tour it at some point. It's just,
a couple more
if we
songs.
ever find like a minute, or maybe we'll open for ourselves.
Yeah. But it's fun too, because also like not having to do all the vocals. Like we always talk about having another person like.
Yeah. And on stage, we performed it actually like during our set. He's come up and we've done it, and it was like, it's just like a different thing having another singer up there that you never get that, and you just like you can play off each other, and it's like a different level of fun, I think.
Yeah, I agree. So for now, that's just a fun project. It's not going to be, or at least in the foreseeable future, it's not going to be like a.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like, where do you go with it? What do you do?
We want it to be. I think that's kind of. It's just like a matter of like finding a minute to like if we're not touring our bands and to just maybe.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's become one of those things that kind of gets put, okay, well, we want to get to this, but we got to do this first, so let's put this back, and it keeps kind of getting, but, I think that we should prioritize it a little bit, at least do another song or two, and, I think it's one of those projects that it could just sort of take off, and find its own weird path, and, like, and maybe, do, like, or take a non-traditional role, like, maybe just play every Wednesday night in LA or something, like who
like
knows?
A residency type thing.
And then
that's kind of how our band started, really.
And then people start to hear about it, because it's definitely a fun thing, for sure. It's really cool to do.
And like you said, you get to step out of being Mr. Powerman 5000 and
Yeah.
get to do something different.
Totally.
Yeah, you're right, because it's like, I mean, I don't feel like limited in Powerman, but sometimes, you have like an expectation, and as with the other records we've talked about, you go too much this way, you go too much that, people get like all freaked out and like, what the fuck, man? So at least if it's a separate thing, we do whatever we want.
Okay. Are you going to be doing any more directing shows, movies?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always working on something, for sure. We've got a couple ideas.
We've been developing that gay porn.
Gay porn. Come on. No, I mean, all last year, honestly, I was working on this thing for Disney, this animated show, but it didn't end up going to series. So it's like, I'm always doing something, but I'm not one to talk about it for that reason, because it's like anything, it's like,
if it happens, it happens.
You think something's going to happen, then it doesn't.
He's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I never want to, like, a lot of people like to sort of sell it before it's, I'm always writing something or trying to, but it's hard. I mean, look, music's hard, right? But TV and film is even harder because at least if you're in a band, you can go out and play, right? I can't go out and show my own TV show, right? You need the network or somebody to go like, we'll put this on the air for you. So there's a lot more steps and gatekeepers and, you know, but...
Do you have any interest in acting?
Oh, I'm a really good actor.
Oh my God.
Christine says I'm the worst
no.
actor. Yeah, she's an actress. And I'm always like, check this scene out. And I'm like, really, I can't stop laughing when I'm trying to. I would love to, but I think I'd be terrible at it.
He'd be a good voice actor, I think. As long as you don't look at him.
Yeah, I'm too self-conscious. Or if I could be like in a costume, like Planet of the Apes or something, I think I could be good at that. But if I had to like, okay, here's the scene where you sit down for dinner, you know, and no.
You would just feel cheesy and lame.
I'm too like self-aware, you know what I mean? Like, a good actor can just like let go, and I have a hard time doing that. So
yeah.
But I do have fantasies of acting, but I don't think it's ever gonna happen.
Okay. One little quick thing. I asked the what's left of the Megatronic. We have the group on Facebook.
Oh. Yes.
We're still around.
Good. Holding it down.
Someone asked if you're paying attention to any of today's sci-fi stuff or any shows that you're a fan of lately. Not the old stuff, the newer stuff.
Let's see. Well, we tried to. We gave Westworld a good shot.
We have to finish it. Don't ruin it because we're like...
Yeah, we
like
watched it and got really disappointed with it. Like, I felt like it's the same episode every week. But then, of course, right after we stopped watching it was like, oh my God, you got to watch it. So
everybody's saying it.
But I am excited about this new Alien movie that Ridley Scott's doing. And I'm trying to think if anything else has been... I feel like on the sci-fi front, there's a lot of stuff coming. Like, I noticed that there's a lot of, like, big science fiction movies coming.
A lot of the Netflix originals have been kind of more in the sci-fi.
Stranger Things was really like a pleasant surprise because I'm the type of, you know, when people say something's awesome a million times and I watch it, I'm usually like, no, it's not. But Stranger Things was really fun. I thought that had a great, like, authentic 80s, like, really just a fun. It was nice. It was refreshing to watch something that wasn't trying to be so over the top, like violent or sexual. It was just like a really great, fun story, you know.
And the fact that it's based around kids, you know, it added a different dimension to it.
Yeah, I really liked that. It wasn't, you know, blown away by the J.J. Abrams Star Wars. I thought it could have been better, but... Well, maybe I'm just burnt out on Star Wars. I feel like, you know, it's like... They're just like, every week there's going to be a Star Wars movie, but I haven't seen Rogue One yet, so people say it's good.
It was good.
Yeah, so I'm kind of looking forward to that one. That one looks like it maybe has a different vibe to it. I just feel like J.J. Abrams killed Han Solo and just lost. Like, that could have been the biggest moment in cinema in the last 50 years, and it just kind of was like, eh. You know? Like...
Don't even get him started.
Like, it was just kind of like, Chewbacca cried. I mean, no one knows it, you know. I don't know.
It wasn't a big thing.
I think it could have been bigger, you know?
Okay.
But, but if anybody knows anything to suggest, let me know.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it at that. If you have anything else you want to throw in.
No, I honestly think if anyone can sit through my blabbering, they will learn more about this band from this interview than any other, because we have covered, and you've been there from the beginning, so you know.
That was the goal.
We've covered it all, so this is the comprehensive Powerman interview.
If anybody else wants to know anything else, you're just gonna have to ask, because I pretty much covered the bases. So
yeah,